Jennifer? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. There's a little video with everybody. Okay, I just want to make sure. Alright, I just want to make sure that's alright. Okay. I know what you wrote the description, I'd rather go with what you're saying, giving me the onus on it. No problem. Thanks. Have a good show. No, you don't, but I hear you sing services. So, sort of, for 2 weeks out of the year. This is a good way to celebrate. It's a weird way to celebrate. Yeah.
I didn't really realize that when I signed up for this.
Yeah. Did you go to service? Today is morning as well. They're amazing again tomorrow. And then next week. Enjoy the show.
That's why I was like, yeah, somebody's saying that. And I actually sent her, where am I on the PC? It's all very small. I'm like, see, I mean, before I came here, I was like, oh, presenting, I better like put this stuff in. Start printing stuff out.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming this evening. My name is Elise Dewsbury. I'm the artistic director here at New Musicals, Inc. And thank you. And you're here on an evening that is a first in several different ways. This is the first of our new Monday night reading series, which is an opportunity for our ongoing writer members to have an evening to present work that's in the very early stages of development and get a sense of how the audience is feeling about it, get some feedback from you guys as they continue on. And so it's the first of those. It's also the first reading for White Rose, written by Jennifer Rosenfeld. Jennifer's been working very, very hard, and as this piece is in very, very early development, it isn't quite done, so you'll notice that there are some spots where we will be speaking lyrics as opposed to singing songs. A great many of the songs are finished, so you will hear singing, but you will also hear us speaking some of the lyrics in spots where it's not quite done yet. The other things that you need to know are that the setting for the piece is in Munich in 1942 and 1943, so I think you all know what that means. And I think without further ado, we can get started. One other thing. I will be reading some stage directions just so that you understand, because you're not seeing a full production, everything that's happening. Whenever I read a stage direction, I count on you guys to use your imaginations to visualize what that would look like on stage when there isn't someone reading stage directions and we're all in beautiful costumes. So imagine that, and please do remember to to use the comment cards so that Jennifer can get lots of feedback as she moves forward with the piece. So, White Rose, book, music, and lyrics by Jennifer Rosenfeld. Time, 1942 to 1943 in Munich. Act 1, Scene 1, a spotlight illuminates Sophie alone on a dark stage.
The hills and the stream, so far away yet close as a dream. A perfect harmony. That goes across the field and through every tree, where the birds still sing and the fish still swim, free to move, free to play, free to say what they wish to say. Could that be me one day? Maybe, if I pray.
Lights up on the rest of the stage. We are in a munitions factory full of female workers.
Sophie Scholl, get your head out of the clouds. Back to work. You're setting a bad example for our new workers. Liesel and Greta, keep up the fine effort. Just imagine now each of these bullets piercing through the heart of an enemy of our great nation. Whether you picture Jews, communists, or any other rotten traitor, this is your choice. Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler.
Sophie scurries to take her place on an assembly line in a munitions factory with girls roughly her own age.
Each little bullet, one by one, turns our enemies to dust. Each little bullet helps us win, then the world will belong to us. Soldiers at the front, police at every door, men get the credit. But we help win the war. We are the secret weapon with each bullet that we make. Our enemies don't dare step in. Every inch they give we'll take. Hitler.
5-minute break. Ursula and Gerda, attention. Your service is complete. You may gather your belongings and return home for good. The Fuhrer thanks you for your service.
Excuse me, Stabsführer and Heinrich. I was told that my service would be ending soon. Actually, that's what I was told 6 months ago. Have you heard anything? I only asked because I thought I would be done in time to go to university, but the semester began last week, and I'm afraid it's getting too late now and that I'd have to wait another year.
Your enthusiasm, your lack of enthusiasm, is highly disturbing and even grounds for punishment. You should be grateful to be here serving our country. Less staring, nor working.
Sophie sulks away.
I noticed you weren't singing with the other girls. I'm watching you, Scholl.
Sophie sulks away and removes a letter from her pocket.
What have you got there, Sophie?
That's mine. It's from my brother.
Han Scholl, the only boy who could possibly be writing to you. Your pathetic brother.
He's studying to be a doctor.
Well, he sounds like a coward. Otherwise, he'd be on the front lines with the real men, like my fiancé. He's probably a lazy slacker, just like you. Don't think I haven't noticed. I've made twice as many bullets as you. You know we don't like traitors here.
At least I have interest beyond boys and gossip.
You think you're so smart.
I was accepted to university. I'm going to be a scientist. That takes a lot more brains than bullets.
Well, no soldier would ever want to marry you with that weird hair and ideas.
I'd never marry a soldier.
Finally alone, Sophie opens her letter. Hans appears on the other side of the stage and speaks the contents of his letter.
Dear Sophie, I hope this letter reaches you in time. Happy birthday, little sister! I received your last letter. I would contain my frustrations if I were you. I pity the Gestapo, having to decipher everyone's illegible handwriting, but that's what they're paid to do. Duty is duty, after all. And on that note, I have some brotherly advice. you're a fighter. I've known it all along. Soon the clouds will clear and the sun will shine brighter. Don't complain, just be strong.
Whenever we talk about the weather, we're not actually talking about the weather.
You'll join me at the university soon. It'll be just like old times. I even have some new friends for you to meet. You have so much to look forward to. Your brother, Hans.
Break is over. Back to work.
I know I don't have it so bad. For others, it's so much worse. Concentration camps, prison, disappearing for good.
Hitler would smite you on the spot if he saw you dawdling, Sophie.
But come on, worst birthday ever.
We are the secret
Wasting my
weapon.
time on a cause I despise.
Keep up or you'll get stuck.
Becoming more wise, will she call my name? I can't appear too eager, but I pray just the same. Will today be the day I can't take it anymore?
Pick up your pace. No slowing down.
Each little bullet, one by one, does its job and then it's done. Was a bullet or a soldier, do not fear, we will make another one. Bullets and soldiers, bullets and soldiers, each day we need more. Men get the credit, but they comes to win the war.
Sophie Scholl, attention.
Yes, I'm here.
Today is your lucky day. Your service is complete, for now. But remember, your duty remains to serve Germany with all your efforts. Heil Hitler!
What? Really? Heil Hitler.
Say it like you mean it, Sophie.
We are the secret weapon, fighting enemies all around. It's with us you have to reckon. Don't even try to stand your ground.
Heil Hitler!
Sophie runs out of the factory and is left alone on stage.
Just like that, I'm done. I'm free. I'm awake and the nightmare is over. I don't work for them anymore. For 2 years I was trapped and I couldn't adapt to their story of what I am for. I'm so happy, I just can't believe it. Now's my time to pursue all my dreams. I will study all day, that's the game I will play. I'll be someone who's more than she seems. All of my life I've been coddled and sheltered, the quiet, strange girl who just watches and waits. Now is my time to show what I'm made of, so don't underestimate me. Just wait till I have my degree. I want to play, go to class, read the books, learn everything. Play piano, paint and draw, learn how to sing. Play, the music in me is a record that just wants to spin. I'm wound up and ready to go. It's time for my life to begin.
Sophie arrives at her home and is met there by her father and then her mother.
Sophie, you're back? What a wonderful surprise.
What are you reading, Father? Tomas Osman. I love the Magic Mountain. Thank goodness you still have your stash of forbidden books.
I've said it for the last 10 years. The illegal books are the only ones worth reading.
Sophie, is that you? And on your birthday. Tomorrow night we'll celebrate together.
I've missed you, Mother. It's so good to be home. But I'm just here to get my things. I have to leave for Munich as soon as possible so I don't miss any more classes at the university.
Come on now, you've only just arrived. Sophie, won't you stay for a while?
Sophie, you've been gone so very long.
Sophie, we love you.
Sophie, we miss you.
No, I've gotta go.
Sophie, what's the rush?
Father, you don't understand. My life has been wasting away. For 2 years, nothing has happened to me. Each second has lasted a week. Any solace I'd find would be just in my mind and pretend to be next to the creek. And imagine the stars shining above, sending me patience and guidance and love as I counted each miserable day, wishing I could just fly away. I tell myself, Sophie, your life is a song, and one day you'll hear it play. Father, that time is now. I won't wait any longer.
Play, such a child. Stay right here where you belong.
Stay, I will teach you to cook, and then you'll sing your own song.
Stay.
Let me be someone that I will respect. Father, there's no time to lose. It's my future we all must protect.
Sophie, it's more dangerous each day. Sophie, that's why we want you to stay. Hans is in Munich, your mother's not well. Our little town is safer from what I can tell. Just wait a little longer, just be our little Sophie. Soon you'll have your turn to play.
Father, you're not hearing me. I know the world is dangerous. I know I must watch what I say. But I just want to be a student at last. I'll reach my potential that way. I'll be careful, you don't need to fret about me. I promise I'll come back one day. But I know that I can't be held still anymore. And that is why I cannot stay.
Sophie,
I've always known I had something to do, to better myself, to defend what is true. I don't want to wait, let me out of the gate to start my future today. I promise you I'll be okay. Just let me play. I'll fall down,
it's not safe.
make mistakes, and miss my cues.
It's not safe for you out there.
Maybe one day I'll be a great mother like you.
How we wish you could play.
Be what you want. You said that while holding my hand. And now is the time for it all to play out, to live the life I've planned. Play. The pause has been lifted, and now is my moment to start. I know you are scared that I'm unprepared, but I hear your voice in my heart. And though we've disagreed, I know you will concede that now it's my turn to play.
Suddenly, there is a loud knock at the door.
Police! Open up!
Magdalena, quick, hide the book.
Father, what do we do?
I'll handle it.
Robert opens the door, and 2 Gestapo officers enter.
What's the meaning of this?
Robert Scholl, you are under arrest for treason. We received the tip that you made traitorous remarks against the Führer.
Mother, it's all right.
How dare you accuse me? I demand to know what evidence you have against me. I am an honorable citizen.
The evidence? Why, it was your secretary, Frau Schmidt. She claims you referred to our great leader, the Führer, as a scourge of God and a monstrosity on all mankind. Do you deny it? I commend you for employing such loyal citizens in your business. Although the same can't be said for you, we place you under arrest.
Wait.
Grab him and begin shuffling him out.
I've been contracted by the government to assist the financial position of our town. The outcome of my report will have direct bearing on your salaries. Essential for the war effort to ensure there's no waste. You know, I was told that nothing should interrupt my ability to complete this report as soon as possible.
The Gestapo officer pauses and confers with the other officer.
Well, you will finish your contract, and then we will come for you, make no mistake. We have our eyes on you. The father of Hans Schul, twice arrested and only 24 years old. The apple rarely falls far from the tree unless it can inform us of the poisonous root.
My son fulfilled his duties as a soldier. He served as a medic, treating the wounded.
We are watching you. Make no mistake. Heil Hitler!
Heil Hitler.
Father, what are they talking about? Are you all right?
Yes. I'm all right. Everything will be fine.
You didn't say those things, did you? This isn't funny. I don't want to leave you and Mother like this.
Sophie, you're right. The danger is everywhere. It is here, too. So you must go. While you can. Don't wait till they close in on us. You're right. You must live your life now. Do you remember the poem we would read together when you were younger?
Cowardly Thoughts. Your favorite poem by Goethe.
My favorite poem by anyone. More necessary now than ever. Cowardly thoughts. Meek hesitation. Timorous shaking. Weak lamentation. Ward of no anguish. I promise you'll see. They do not set you free. In this family, we do not cower. Always remember that. Repeat after me. Cowardly thoughts, meek hesitation, timorous shaking, weak lamentation, ward of no anguish. I promise you'll see, they do not set you free. Gather your forces, never to waver.
Gather your forces, never to waver.
Take the offensive, be ever braver.
Take the offensive, be ever braver.
To call God to your side. We will call God to our side.
Sophie, wait. Take this wine and cake with you. Celebrate your birthday with your brother.
Don't be afraid. Hans will look after you.
Cowardly thoughts, cowardly thoughts, cowardly thoughts, cowardly thoughts.
The lights shift to Hans in his apartment in Munich, where he sits with his friend Alexander.
Alexander, did you see the paper? Hitler expands the war against the communist enemy to the east. We may be drafted again, but not before we do something about it.
I was born in Russia, and I will not return as a soldier. I will never lift a weapon against my own people.
Germany is losing the war, and yet Hitler won't stop the bloodbath. Cowardly thoughts define our nation. Silence can only mean abdication.
Countless lives have been taken. When will the people awaken? Tomorrow we start the fight to save Germany from forever damnation.
Christoph enters carrying a large stack of papers.
Hans, Alexander, look! They are ready a day early.
Christoph, how did you do this?
My stepmother found us another printing press. I do this for her. She is Jewish. When my children are older, I want them to know their grandmother and feel proud, not ashamed.
Hans picks up a leaflet and begins reading aloud.
Every honest German is ashamed of his government. Systematic, treacherous abuse has locked every man in a spiritual prison. understands the shame committed in Germany's name. It will stain our future long after our lifetime if we fail to condemn our government's heinous crime.
Have Germans abandoned free will? No one thinks for themselves. The mob is a shill.
For those who have recognized this threat, death is the reward they have met.
If everyone waits, it will seal our fates.
It's far too late for regret. Every individual, conscious of his responsibility as a member of Christian and Western civilization, must defend himself as best he can at this late hour. He must work against fascism and any similar system of totalitarianism. Gather your forces, make your resistance active or passive, be of assistance. Wherever you may do your part to stop or delay the spread of this war machine.
We are all that stands in between our futures, our lives,
Our children, our wives,
and the National Socialist regime. Signed, the White Rose. What's that?
Just a touch of mystery. How many copies do we have?
1,000.
Enough to cover the university.
Are you ready to do this? Today?
Ready.
We must be very careful. Let's go.
The three shake hands. They each take a stack of leaflets and put them in their bags and exit. Hans lingers for a moment before walking out. Sophie is seen alone, making her journey to Munich. And back in the Scholl home, Robert and Magdalena hold each other.
Gather your forces never to waver.
Gather your forces never to waver.
Take the offensive, be ever braver.
Take the offensive, be ever braver.
To call God.
To call God
to your side. We call God to our side.
Hans, are you coming?
Coming.
Students around the university begin discovering the leaflets.
Quick, pick it up.
Quick, don't let anyone see.
Should I deliver this to the police or take it home with me?
Who would write such a thing?
Who thinks he's a hero?
Who is the White Rose? Could it be someone I know? Who understands the shame committed in Germany's name? It will stain our future long after our lifetime if we fail to condemn our government's heinous crime. Gather your forces, make your resistance active or passive, be of assistance. Wherever you may do your part to stop or delay the spread of this war machine. We are all that stands in between our futures, our lives,
Our children!
our wives, and the National Socialist regime. It's working! People are picking them up!
I'll go back and get the rest. You wait here.
Who would write such a thing? A fool who thinks he's a hero. Who is the White Rose? Could it be someone I know?
Scene 4. Sophie arrives at Hans's apartment in Munich while Hans and Christoph are still away, but Alexander is in the apartment putting leaflets into a sack when Sophie knocks at the door.
Hans, it's Sophie. I'm here.
Alexander takes off his jacket and uses it to cover the leaflets and then opens the door.
Hello, can I help you?
Oh, you're not Hans. This is his apartment, isn't it?
That depends. Who's asking?
Oh, well, I'm his sister. He's expecting me.
Sister? I don't know. Hans never mentioned a sister.
You must be his smart Alec friend. Alexander, is it?
A sister and a trespasser.
So, where is he?
Who?
Hans.
Alexander, what's been taking you so long? We've been waiting.
Hans, look who's here.
Sophie, you're here. I didn't expect you so soon. From your letter, it seemed like it would be a while.
I was just released today, and I came here straight away. Well, first I stopped at home. It's been an interesting day. But I thought it would be okay for me to come here and stay. If not, I'll figure out another way.
Of course, please stay. I'm so glad you came today. Meet my friends. Christoph, Alexander, meet my sister Sophie.
It's so nice to meet you, Sophie. We've heard all about you.
Behold, the famous Sophie. May Munich live up to your expectations.
And today is Sophie's birthday. 21 years old.
We must celebrate.
Christoph and Alexander begin opening the wine and cake as Sophie and Hans huddle.
Hans, is everything all right? Did I come at a bad time?
Everything's fine. Great, in fact, now that you're here. I'm glad you've been my friends. You'll like them.
Christoph and Alexander return with glasses, and Alexander pours wine for the four of them.
A toast to my sister Sophie, ready to take on the world. Cheers! I remember my 21st birthday, 3 years ago. What a day that was. I was stationed in France on a cold winter night. I abandoned my patrol so that I could take a stroll in Paris, where I took in all the sights. Oh, to be 21, the age of adventure and fun. No longer a child, your life has begun. It doesn't get better than 21.
When I was 21, I lived the artist's life. I would be the next Van Gogh, meet Kandinsky and Miro. I spent every hour with my paints and palette knives.
A world-class artiste in our midst.
Hardly. Oh, to be 21. You believe any challenge can be won. No longer a child, your life has begun. It doesn't get better than 21.
There's nothing better than 21.
New possibilities,
bigger sights.
Of course things were different when we were 21.
Ancient wisdom from my elders from a time so long ago. 3 years can be a lifetime when there's so much that you know. I've no need for grand adventures. I just want a simple life. I must enjoy my freedom, at least before becoming someone's wife.
It might not be so bad, you know. I became a father when I was 21. I don't have as many stories. These guys might think I'm boring, but nothing compares to being with my son.
Oh, to be 21, a year that should be full of fun. Times have changed the freedom we once knew, but it's all downhill once you hit 22.
Now, if only we could live again without the curse of Hitler dominating everything about our lives. That's what strips us of our freedom.
Hans!
They're okay, Sophie. Here's to your newfound freedom.
To new passions to discover.
To the life you call your own.
Oh, to be 21. You believe any challenge can be won. No longer a child, your life has begun. It doesn't get better than,
doesn't get better than,
doesn't get better than 21.
Sophie, you must be tired. Let me show you to your room.
Hans shows Sophie to one of the bedrooms.
I'll take you to register at the university tomorrow. You can come with us to Professor Huber's class. You'll like it.
Okay, thank you. Hans, wait. I need to tell you something. Something happened at home today. The Gestapo came to the house to arrest Father. They mentioned you.
Is Father all right?
Oh, you know Father. Unshakable as always. He managed to delay them, but they said they would be back for him.
I'm sorry you were there to see that.
Hans, should I be worried about you? Father said that things would be better here, that you'd look after me. Not that I need that, of course. Are we safe?
Sweet Sophie. No one is safe. But, of all places, the odds are better here. We'll stay safe together. Get some rest.
Play, go to school, find a job, have a career. Play, make new friends, have nights filled with good cheer. Play, the music in me is a record that just wants to spin. I'm wound up and ready to go. It's time for my life to begin.
Hans rejoins Alexander and Christoph in the main room.
We have to be even more careful now that Sophie is here. I don't want her to catch wind of anything. I wasn't expecting her to arrive today.
Family complicates things, doesn't it? Speaking of, I need to go home to mine. I'll let you students work it out.
Christoph exits. Hans sits down at his desk, head in his hands. And the lights change to scene 5, a classroom at the University of Munich where Professor Kurt Huber is delivering a lecture.
Yes. Today we continue our discussion of philosophy at the Age of Enlightenment. We credit Immanuel Kant with the idea that morality originates from human reason rather than from God-given decree. He posits that every individual has the ability to determine right and wrong. In fact, this is the birthright of humanity, to form our own opinions and think for ourselves, rather than submitting to dogmatic authority. The purpose of life is to write your own song, to use your judgment, don't just follow along. The conductor of our time tries his best to divide. Will your existence add harmony or discord? What will you decide? Nietzsche says God is dead. At the very least, our own conception of him. I want to know what you think. Is there still room for God in our understanding of the world?
Hans, Alexander, and Sophie slip into the classroom.
Late! Stay after all three of you so I can mark your attendance record accordingly. You, what do you think?
We are better off without God. No more divine right means no more kings. We are no longer oppressed by the monarchy.
That is true. The kings of Europe are dead and gone. Are we better without them? Is this the new dawn? Our new king, this God, rules with a heavy hand. Is it better than before? Are you proud to join the band?
Can he say that?
He does.
Furthermore, to quote Spinoza, the greatest secret of monarchic rule is to keep men deceived and to cloak in the specious name of religion the fear by which they must be checked so that they will fight for slavery as they would for salvation. And remember that religion can take many forms. But careful in considering these words. Spinoza was a Jew, after all. Don't let yourself be contaminated.
I can't believe it. He actually quoted a Jewish philosopher in class? That's unheard of. I love school.
Don't get too excited. Huber is an anomaly. All the other professors are party puppets.
Quiet! I have a class full of chatterboxes today. You there. Tell me what you think. Is there a place for God in this world after Nietzsche's pronouncement that God is dead?
Well, we live in a world where many bad things happen. Very bad things. And those bad things are caused by us, by people.
Go on.
But, on the other hand, there are very many good things, too. Things that so exceed in goodness what man is capable of. Like the beauty of nature in the summertime. Nature as it is, completely untouched. And then there are other things that are wonderful, too, created by people. Like music, like great books and art, ideas, the human mind and creativity. Any human act of creation is godlike. He did it best, and the world is evidence of that. And people, at their best, follow in that path. But if all that good demonstrates his existence, how do you explain the bad? Why would bad things happen if God were watching over?
Very good. What is your name?
Sophie Scholl, sir. I'm a new student.
Well, welcome, Miss Scholl. Very good. You've raised the issue of theosophy, which explores the question of how evil exists in a world created by a benevolent and all-knowing God. This concept was introduced by philosopher and mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm von Leibniz, and has continually been debated for the centuries.
So you're saying that the question is well established, but there is no answer? I guess that's what you get in a philosophy class.
Precisely. What matters most is the question and forming your own answer, thinking for yourself. But as I am knee-deep in research for my forthcoming book, a biography of Leibniz, I shall share with you his explanation. In God's perfect world, evil is a man-made flaw, like a wrong note in a symphony that would otherwise fill us with awe. The conductor of our time puts on pressure to abide. Will your life be a wrong note? What will you decide?
Suddenly, 3 Nazi officials burst into the classroom.
Enough! Enough! Class is over. Now it's time for some real education. You're done preaching your usual dribble for today. Huber, get out of here.
What's happening?
This happens regularly. Nazi official barges into class to spew propaganda at us.
My class is not over yet. I teach until 1/2 the hour.
You've had more than enough time today. You're lucky we let a cripple like you stand up here and soften the brains of the next generation, especially after your episode in Berlin. Students, would you believe it? Your dear Professor Huber was fired from his previous position. Fired for being uncooperative. The chair of the prestigious Folk Music Institute. Uncooperative. Can you imagine that? What a shame. And once again, here you are being, dare I say, uncooperative. Am I sensing a pattern?
He is so rude.
I'm going. Everyone, class dismissed.
No, nobody else is leaving the room. I have an important message from the Führer himself. Our glorious leader expresses his concern at the large number of female students at the university. Current university policy allows a quota of up to 10%, but we never intended to reach that level. The government is exploring the possibility of reducing the quota to a more appropriate level.
Wait a sec, that's not okay.
Ladies, you must understand, our nation is at war. Expanding our population is of the utmost importance. In fact, that is your primary responsibility. Every moment you sit in class, you are failing in your duty to populate our nation with perfect specimens of the Aryan race. That is your entire purpose. Far more important than reading books. And to help you, I offer my soldiers perfect genetic material to assist you in your duties. I've even brought a few here with me today.
The students react with fury and begin shouting, holding leaflets high up in the air.
Gather your forces, make your resistance, active or passive, be of assistance.
The students leave the auditorium in a rampage as the Gestapo try to hold them back. The scene is chaotic. Sophie gets separated from Hans and Alexander. She picks a leaflet up off the floor, reads it, puts it in her pocket, and exits.
Well, that speech was a new low.
Yes, but can you believe it? Everyone has seen the leaflet.
Including Professor Huber.
Let's go. We should update Christoph.
Are we forgetting someone?
Oh, Sophie, you're right. Where is she? I hope she isn't too upset. Oh well, we'll see her later.
Scene 6. Sophie returns to Hans's apartment by herself.
Hans, are you here? I have to show you something.
You wouldn't have believed it, Christoph. Everyone was chanting those words that I wrote.
He sees Sophie standing at the desk and motions to his friends to leave. They exit.
Sophie, you're here.
Sophie holds up a leaflet.
You wrote this? Hans, what is this?
What?
I know what you're doing.
What?
I know you wrote those leaflets. You admitted it just now.
Sophie?
How could you be so selfish? I know you know the risks after everything that's happened, after what you said last night. Hans, how could you do it? Hans, this is
Sophie, look, I can explain this.
You put us all in danger. Don't you care about your life? What about me? Mother, father, your friends.
I know what I'm doing. I've thought all this through before. I know the risk I'm taking. Don't forget, we are all at war. Can one man make a difference? We doubt, we question, but history proves it's true. Yes, one man can change the world. So why him? Why not me? Why not you?
Well, I'm not a man.
You know what I mean. Defining moments throughout the ages arise from one man's choice. History will be written. Why not claim a few pages? To do that, I must use my voice.
You're serious about this?
I'm one man. I must make a difference. Who am I to stand by and ignore? The course of history can be changed in a moment by the builders and the explorers, the fighters and the writers. Their goals may be different, to create or to destroy. Galileo, Napoleon, Beethoven, Hitler. If he can, so can I. If he can, so will I.
Hans, you don't have to do this. You are making a difference just by being a good person. You're studying to be a doctor. Why would you risk everything?
I was born for a reason. I've searched for it all my life. Now I found it. Now is the season to make my mark, no matter the cost, no matter the strife.
No matter the cost!
This path, it isn't easy. It's lonely and dangerous, but I have made my choice. It's my only chance at a different sort of world. Forget what you saw. Go and live your life, but don't try to stop me. I've made up my mind.
You speak as if the future of Germany rests on your shoulders.
And what if it does? I will make this my moment. If he can, so can I. If he can. If he can, so will I.
Hans sits down at his desk and gets back to work, ignoring Sophie. She stares at him for a long silence.
I can't believe this. My brother is crazy. He's out of his mind, or is he truly brave? Could this possibly work? It just seems berserk. Oh my God, how should I behave? I'm so angry, I know it seems selfish. I came here to study, to develop myself. He's disrupting my plan, thinking he's some great man, while my dreams collect dust on a shelf. What do? I don't think I can stop him. Do I pretend to forget what I know? The only solution The only solution that I can think of is to help him with this crazy scheme. The truth is, I share his dream. I know that he's right, and I know I can help. I have to.
Sophie approaches Hans.
I will join you.
What? No.
You could use my help.
No! One man can make a difference. One man, that's me. I don't need you. This wasn't an invitation. I didn't want you to know. We're not having this conversation. Maybe you should go.
Hans, I can help. I won't get in your way. Why do it alone for even one more day?
I'm not doing this alone.
Alexander and Christoph. Hans, you need to be more careful. It wasn't hard to figure this out.
Sophie begins reading the leaflet aloud.
Gather your forces, make your resistance, active or passive, be of assistance. Wherever you may do your part to stop or delay. You say that all should do their part, so why do you push me away? Let me be your secret weapon. I promise I won't get in your way.
That's a promise? Shake on it. Well, we were supposed to meet now. I should go find Christoph and Alexander.
He opens the door and finds them standing right there as if they've been listening.
Oh, hello, Hans. Some good family bonding time?
Okay, let's get started. And Sophie will be joining our meeting, really just to observe, though. Well, my friends, we did it! 1,000 copies spread all over the university. The reaction was incredible. Our message clearly spoke to the students. So now, we plan our next leaflet.
Sophie, now that you've joined the party, let's hear what you think of all this.
Actually, I have some ideas, if you don't mind.
No, it's probably best if...
No, let's hear your ideas, Sophie. Come closer, pull up a chair.
Well, first, on the leaflet itself. Without a doubt, the message was powerful, but you might consider perhaps something not quite so intellectual. Suitable for a university, perhaps, but if you want to reach more people, I'm not sure it's the right approach.
We're not about to infantilize our readers. We have to rise above cheap slogans and propaganda.
She has a point. More direct speech, to the heart and not just to the mind.
And we should talk about how to grow in reach while maintaining a discreet operation. Speaking of, where is everyone else?
It's just the three of us.
Well, you mean the four of us now, of course. But really? That's it? We need more people.
Small is better, and you're only slightly involved, remember?
Hans, why do you insist on censoring her? Sophie has a lot to offer. Maybe she's the real brains of the family.
Sophie, remember what you promised.
I'm just trying to help and look out for everyone. And on that note, Christoph, you shouldn't be here. You need to leave.
What? Sophie!
Hans, he has a family. He's a father. He has a wife and young children. He should not be a part of this.
That's not for you to decide. He's made his choice. Christoph knows what we're up to, and you have no idea what he's done for us. We couldn't have gotten this far without him. We're not about to kick him out.
He's done his part. We should avoid unnecessary risk to loved ones. It's fine for those of us who are unattached, but Christoph made other choices in life. Just imagine what could happen.
She makes a good point, Christoph. Your family is everything.
It's late. I need to go home anyways. I'll see you around.
Christoph gets up and makes his goodbyes and exits. Hans follows Christoph out.
Christoph, wait!
I'm an only child, so these sibling dynamics are fascinating to me. Do you want to have a family one day?
What? Why is that everyone thinks all I could possibly be good for is having a family? I want more than that. I'm capable of more than that. Even so, family is not something you just put at risk like that. Why can't Hans see that? He doesn't think twice about endangering me or our family, apparently.
Well, love, family, those require risk too, and sacrifice.
What do you mean?
Well, let me tell you about my family. Long ago in my homeland they met. 'Twas a night they would never forget. He saw her there, her long dark hair, a smile without a care. A German man on a cold Russian night. The sun was gone, but she filled the room with light. He knew right then, he said, "Marry me." She said, "When?" They knew this moment might never come again.
He knew she was the one right there and then?
They both knew.
Well, what happened?
And they made a life, they had a child, and all was well. My father loved his Russian wife, and all could tell. But when she died, he was alone with only me, a child of 3. So he went home. He moved us here, just us 2 men, knowing we would never see her light again.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Loving well means there's something to lose. If he could do it over, I know what he'd choose. You can't choose your fate, but you can only choose to leave or wait and risk that you might be too late. What funny times these are. Things can change in an instant. So will you put your life on hold?
The lights shift to outside where Hans has caught up with Christoph.
Christoph? Christoph, wait! We need you. We're not doing this without you. You want this. You said so from the start.
Hans, there's more to life than this. I'll see you another day.
Wait!
Hans, let me go home and kiss my wife. We have another baby on the way, you know.
We're working hard to make a difference. You're saying you don't want to make a difference? Do it for your children. Do it for your wife. Don't you want to see a world that gives everyone a better life?
Germany is in good hands with you, Hans. But I'm the only father my children will have. I'm sure one day you'll understand. Well, maybe not. Your sister is very wise. You should listen to her. Good night, Hans.
Scene 7. Hans, Sophie, and Alexander gather to print leaflets. Hans is writing furiously at his desk while Sophie and Alexander pace around.
Okay, it's ready.
Well, let's hear it.
The crimes of this regime are too numerous to count, but here we list just a few. Since the conquest of Poland, 300,000 Jews have been murdered in gas chambers, a crime unparalleled in history. The Polish aristocracy has been annihilated, destroyed. Young men sent to concentration camps, young women sent to Nazi brothels in Norway. Tell me you don't care. Don't you hear the chords shrieking in your heart? If you sleep soundly, will you ever awaken? Guilty, guilty, guilty. We are your guilty conscience, the white rose. Will not leave you in peace. Well, what do you think?
I'll take it to the printing press.
Gather your forces, make your resistance.
Alexander comes back with a bag full of leaflets. The 3 of them divide them up into bags and go their separate ways.
Remember, Make sure you're not being followed. Be careful.
Active or passive, be of assistance.
There's a passage of time as they distribute the flyers and then come back to Hans's apartment.
We need a new strategy. It's too dangerous to leave these about. There are more Gestapo around now. I have an idea. Let's do our next campaign by post. We'll take trains to different cities and mail hundreds of leaflets from each destination to local addresses. This way, we will distribute 10 times more leaflets and reach far beyond Munich, and will be harder to trace.
Our current method seems to be working fine.
It's a terrific idea, Sophie. I know that Hans agrees. Let's do it.
There's another passage of time. Gather your forces, make resistance, active or passive, be of assistance. Alexander comes back with another bag full of leaflets, and they begin reading.
Sabotage.
In factories and war industries.
Sabotage.
Rallies and grand public gatherings.
Sabotage.
Newspapers on government payroll.
And never donate to the War Relief Fund. Why?
Because charity is camouflage, lining the pockets of Nazi henchmen.
Gather your forces, make your resistance, active or passive, be of assistance.
Hans, listen, your writing, it's good, but
What?
it's still a bit lofty. You know who would be a perfect writer for this? Professor Huber. He speaks so eloquently and clearly.
No, we can't approach him. Too risky.
Yes, we can. Let's do it today, after class.
There's another passage of time, and we see Sophie and Hans in Huber's classroom.
That's all for today, class. Don't forget your analysis of Kant's Critique of Pure Reason is due next week.
As the class clears out, Sophie approaches Professor Huber.
Thank you for class today, Professor.
Do you have a question?
Yes.
She places a leaflet on his desk.
Have you seen this?
I may have.
We'd like you to write the next one.
You're behind this? Both of you? Why would you even trust me with this information? How do you know I wouldn't turn you in? I would only gain from it. By joining you, I'd only stand to lose.
We made our decision. Not just to think for ourselves, but to do something. Just as you suggested.
My classes are about philosophy. That is all.
You haven't been to war. You haven't seen what happens on the front lines as our great nation destroys everything in its path.
No. And maybe one day you'll enlighten me, but do not speak to me of this again. I don't want to know. In these times, noble ideas are best reserved for the mind, unless you speak a speedy end to your career, or even life as you know it. I must get back to my research.
See? Told you. This was a mistake. Remember what you promised? To not get in the way. You are getting in the way, Sophie.
There's another passage of time.
Do not believe the news. Question any talk of victory, whether in Africa or Russia. Success comes at the sacrifice of thousands who fall in battle each day. Has Hitler counted the dead? No. Every word from his mouth is a lie. He proclaims peace, but he only means war. Do your part to stop him. Ask God for the courage and strength to fight. We are the White Rose. We are no pawn of foreign power. We seek our country's spiritual rebirth. We will not keep silent. We are your guilty conscience. We are the White Rose. We will not leave you in peace.
More time passes. Hans and Alexander re-enter, each carrying a letter.
Did you read it yet? Our entire medical class has been drafted to the Eastern Front for the remainder of the year. We report for duty tomorrow.
I swore I wouldn't return to Russia like this, but I have no choice. I dread to think about what we will find on the front.
At least you'll be there to treat the wounded and save lives. I've been called back to the munitions factory for the rest of the year, where I'll be forced to make the bullets that kill innocent people.
The White Rose is officially on hiatus. We will regroup when we return.
Sophie, everything may be different when we return, for better or for worse.
He pulls a white rose out of his pocket.
But this is for you, to remember this moment.
He kisses her on the cheek.
Hans, I'll meet you at the pickup point tomorrow. Goodbye, Sophie.
Scene 8. Some time has passed. Sophie is in the factory and Hans and Alexander are at the Eastern Front, thinking of each other. We see Magdalena Scholl at center stage, writing a letter.
My dear children,
It has happened. Your father was arrested last night. The length of his sentence is not known. Please pray for him as we pray for you both. Sending my love, your mother.
For 45 days I've been waiting. No letters, no meetings, there's nothing to do. For 45 days it's been awfully quiet. I'm trying not to think of you. Be careful, I pray for your safety. Come back and walk through that door, but not yet. Right now I'm not ready to do what we did before.
It's day 45 of our mission.
And almost 3 years since the war began. There's death and destruction, much worse than I realized.
So now we're starting to plan. I won't stand to witness these crimes. Next time I'm not holding back.
Now my anger is growing. We'll be ready and stronger for the next phase of attack.
Father's in prison, the war just won't end.
Now more than ever I need a friend, but he's there on the front.
Sophie's back in the factory.
I can handle it all.
We must fight or we'll fall.
I'm counting the days while I
I'm counting the days till I'm back to work.
I'm stuck here.
We'll be together and writing again. We'll make a difference at last.
Hopefully time doesn't pass too fast.
There's so much I wish I could tell you, but so few words I can write. I know what you'd say in this moment. Life is an adventure towards the light. We must write to Professor Hubert. He needs to understand. Sophie was right. He could really help us.
He'll never understand. No one can possibly understand without seeing firsthand.
We must try. If we can convince him, maybe he'll help us. Here, I've written this letter to him. See what you think.
Dear Professor, we have just arrived at a small war-torn town east of Vyazma. We have seen many things, in particular Warsaw, the ghetto, the city. Everything about it made a profound impression on all of us. It's impossible to give even a vague picture of what has assailed me in Russia since the day we crossed the frontier. I don't know where to begin. Russia is so vast. War sweeps across the countryside like a rainstorm. The Russians are attacking in strength north and south of here, but it's uncertain how things will turn out. Well, it's accurate and vague.
I don't think I can safely say more. You'll have to read between the lines.
Scene 9. Sophie greets Hans and Alexander at the train station as they return home from the front.
You're back, finally.
Sophie! How are you holding up?
Oh, I'm all right. Alexander, how are you?
It's been a long day. I'm gonna head home.
So, how bad was it? It's hard to tell from your letters, and we don't hear anything.
Worse than you could possibly imagine. Especially for him.
Did you hear?
Hans, what is it? What happened?
Germany surrenders at Stalingrad.
Oh my goodness.
What? What does this mean?
Soldiers starved, frozen. We've never lost before. My brother, my husband, my son. Where did they go? Why aren't more soldiers coming back? We never lose. Did you hear? We do not lose.
They say that 200,000 soldiers were trapped in the city. Starved, dying, no supplies. Forced to fight until the last man. All because Hitler refused to surrender.
Did the ground just shake? Did the earth just quake? No bombs in the air, but I feel like a bomb exploded inside of me. I can't feel, I can't breathe. Is this real? It's too hard to believe. We promised we would win. We'd always win. We'd only win. It suddenly feels so cold. What was all this for if we lose? Should we still fight until it's over? Until there are no more Jews? I can't go on living with this news.
Look how lucky you are to have made it back.
God is on our side. We are here for a reason. This is our turning point. We can't waste a moment. This is our turning point. Our moment to make our greatest stand. The people are weakened, their faith is shaking. They are losing trust in his command. Come on, Alexander, pull yourself together. Sophie, we need you. With God on our side, maybe we won't need to do this much longer. We may be nearing the end. Let's get to work.
Scene 13, Professor Huber sits at a desk in his home study.
I've read the letter every day, over and over. War sweeps across the country like a rainstorm. And now, a glimmer of light. Stalingrad. The end could be near, but what a cost, what a waste. I can't. I won't. I know where this path leads. What does right even mean when you are punished for noble deeds?
There's a knock at the door.
Yes.
Father, dinner is ready. Mother said to come get you.
Go on ahead. I'll be there in a moment, my darling. In God's perfect world, evil is a man-made flaw, like a wrong note in a symphony that would otherwise fill us with awe. The conductor of our time puts on pressure to abide. Will your life be a wrong note? What will you decide? What will I decide?
Professor Huber begins pacing his office. Ultimately, he begins writing a leaflet.
Attention, German students. Our nation stands shaken by the deaths of the heroes of Stalingrad. Hundreds of thousands of men driven to death and destruction. Führer, we thank you.
He writes furiously, then gets up and leaves in a hurry. He knocks on the door to Hans's apartment, which Sophie answers. He hands her the paper and then leaves. She hands the paper to Hans as Alexander looks on. In silence, they prepare, typing up the leaflet. Hans and Alexander exiting and coming back with printed copies. We see numerous other people come in to collect them as the chorus sings the contents. Sophie gesticulates, giving instructions to the volunteers of where they will go and how they will discreetly do the drop.
In the name of all German youth, we demand that Hitler's government return to us our personal freedom. Our whole lives we've seen every open expression of opinion attacked, denigrated, and punished. Nazi party officials distract us from every disciplined course of study. They insult the honor of female students. They waste our time, and worse, they aim to conform, manipulate, and anesthetize us. Fight against the party. Our education requires it. We demand true freedom of thought. Students, Germany looks to us. The dead of Stalingrad beseech us. Courage, my people, the beacons are burning. Our nation is awakening against the enslavement of Europe by National Socialism.
The sun is rising and I'm going to sleep now. 10,000 copies. Congratulations, my friends. You've done something.
Hans, we still have some left. We should deliver them to the university. Just you and me.
It's too risky, Sophie.
He wrote it to the students. He wrote it for them. We need to share it.
Christoph knocks at the door. Hans answers and Christoph motions for him to come out. He doesn't want to be seen by Sophie. He hands him a piece of paper to Hans.
What is this?
It's our next leaflet.
Christoph, I thought we agreed you'd be staying out of this.
I tried and I can't anymore. Just take it. I'm sorry it's handwritten. I hope you can read it. I didn't have time to type it up. I wanted to give it to you before I changed my mind.
Roosevelt? The most powerful man in the world. Well, that's not going to go over well here. It's a bold move, Christoph.
You know it's all true. We are so close, Hans. After Stalingrad, people are restless. They're questioning. This could be all over soon. Let's help it along.
Agreed. You better go now.
They shake hands and Christoph exits as Sophie comes out with the leaflets.
Who is that?
No one.
Hans and Sophie walk together, distributing leaflets around the university, careful to avoid detection.
It's actually nice to spend time together like this. It reminds me of our childhood.
That's right. We were rabble-rousers even then. Once we figured out what the Hitler Youth was really about.
Remember when you made that banner for the big parade? You led the way, you were the planner, the most inventive banner ever made. They tore it down as too unique. They said that boy Hans has no right to speak. You've shown them now. You've said what's true. You've always known just how this was always you.
Remember when you brought your favorite books to the youth group town hall? Forbidden works that earned you nasty looks, and you didn't care at all. They took your books, burned them there and then. They told you not to show your face again, and now you're here to lead the coup. You've never shown an ounce of fear. This was always you. Those days we shared, I won't forget. We weren't scared, there's no regret. Those moments made us who we are. They made us close.
Though at times you feel so far away, like you're keeping your whole life at bay. Do you want it to be this way?
Those were the days we did what we could do on the world's smallest stage. And now we're here. We were together in the history books. We'll share a page. The story of a sister and a brother,
So different, just like the other.
working together, one adventure.
That brings this world of darkness into light.
After what has seemed an endless night, then we move on to life beyond the war. We'll do all the normal things.
We won't forget how we fought for more. The unstoppable show siblings. The future will be bright if we do what's right. Until this awful time is through,
I'm so grateful you are by my side. This was always you.
In a burst of joy, Sophie throws the stack of leaflets high up into the air as she and Hans laugh together. Suddenly, a figure appears in a shadow, catching Sophie and Hans in the act of distributing the leaflets.
You there! Stop! Catch them!
Gestapo officers run as Sophie and Hans stand frozen in place. Scene 11, a courtroom.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Freisler, President of the People's Court.
Order in the courtroom. Order. Bring in our defendants accused of crimes of high treason.
Hans, in handcuffs, is dragged in by guards.
Hans Scholl, discovered distributing treasonous materials at the University of Munich on February 18, 1943.
Sophie, in handcuffs, is dragged in by guards.
Sophia Scholl, discovered distributing treasonous materials at the University of Munich on February 18, 1943, alongside her brother Hans Scholl.
These traitors were found by university custodian and loyal party member Herr Jakob Schmidt. He will be generously commended for his service, as you will all be glad to know. And on to our third defendant for today's proceedings.
Who could it be? They couldn't know about...
Silence, traitors! Our third defendant, Christoph Probst.
Christoph is dragged in handcuffs, looking pale and sick. He joins them on the stand.
No! He had nothing to do with
Silence!
this!
Handwriting analysis determined that Christoph Probst is the author of a highly treasonous document found on the person of Hans Scholl, presumably the next disgusting leaflet that these traitors would be distributing if they hadn't been stopped. Mr. Hans Scholl is really the consummate traitor to the state. He attempted to eat the paper written by Probst during his arrest, destroying evidence before the very eyes of our hardworking Gestapo officers. Rest assured, we see that he gets his due punishment.
Robert Scholl enters the courtroom.
I gather you are the father of these two odious pests. Take your seat and learn of the grave misdeeds of your spawn. The Führer himself sent me here to punish you ungrateful traitors. All of his good works, brilliant efforts to lift Germany to glory, and what do? You undermine and insult our great nation. Disgraceful! How do you plead?
Guilty.
Even you, an innocent young girl misled and deceived by her criminal brother, have you no remorse that might reduce your sentence?
I stand by what we did. Someone had to make a start. You know as well as we do that the war is lost. Why are you so cowardly that you won't admit it?
There is an uproar in the courtroom.
Silence! I've made my verdict. I shall pass judgment now so that our nation need not endure the stench of your treason a moment longer. Unless there are any objections, the crime, treason of the highest order, weakening of the nation's armed security, and providing treasonous assistance to the enemy. The verdict? Guilty. The sentence? Death. The method? Guillotine.
Please, Your Honor, I ask for clemency. I have 3 small children.
They are better off without a father like you. Traitor scum. The sentence will be carried out at dawn tomorrow. Court dismissed.
Scene 12. The stage is divided into thirds with dim lighting, with each section representing a prison cell for Hans, Christoph, and Sophie. Hans is pacing. Christoph sits with his head in his hands. Sophie seems to be asleep. Robert is also present somewhere as he thinks about his children.
Little girl, like to read, like to play. Little boy, so many words to say. I feel you sitting in the other room, curled up in a chair. In my mind, it's as if you've never grown. I feel you still right there.
One man can make a difference. It's not over, not until the end. One man can change the world, but what's it worth if it costs the life of his sister and his friend? I tried, I failed, but I won't concede that he's won. Our battle may be ending, but I pray to God that our impact isn't done.
Little girl, went to school, went to learn. Little boy, I always knew that you'd return to build a life, to build a home. And I'm not waiting with another. Your mother and I were all alone. No one said go be a hero.
Cowardly
No child should have to be afraid.
Hesitation.
I knew you'd grow up strong. I wish you'd just come home and misbehave.
Timorous, shaking, cowardly thoughts. They will not help you. They trap you, you'll see. They do not make you.
Little girl, little boy, oh God, did I really teach you wrong? You are too young, and I'm not strong, and I just want to hear you singing all your favorite songs.
Hans finds a sharp object on the floor and has an idea and begins carving the words of the poem into the wall.
Gather your forces, never to waver. Give me my wife for leaving you all alone.
Take the offensive, be ever braver.
My beautiful children, we barely just met. Hope you won't forget how I loved you. You are perfect in my eyes.
To call God to your side.
Sorry to leave you, I did this for you in a way. I couldn't help it, I had to. I hope you understand someday.
We call God to our side.
Lights down on Hans, Christoph, and Robert. Lights up on Sophie in her cell.
What a strange dream. I dreamed I carried a child up a mountain. Her dress is white. The snow on the ground so bright. She smiles up at me as I hold her and climb up the mountain. The sky reflected in her eyes, full of promise and surprise. I sing for you, child of the mountain. We stay on our journey, though hard it may be. I'll carry you safely, my child of the mountain. I'll sing for you. It's what I was meant to do. My arms feel heavy as I carry the child up the mountain. The slope is sheer and the path not so clear, though my legs shake. They won't stop me from reaching the top of the mountain. The wind is sharp. It strikes like a chord on a harp. I'll fight for you, child of the mountain. I'll stay on the path through wind and through hail. I'll never give up, my child of the mountain. I'll fight for you. That's what I promised to do. I reach the top and see the great divide. The valley gets wider, so I stretch and leave you safe on the other side. You go, live on, fulfill your destiny. The world needs you more than it needs me. That child is our idea. We carried her up to the mountain. I'm proud of us all, and my spirits won't fall. We did our part, and we're saying goodbye.
Scene 13, a courtyard at the prison. Hans, Sophie, and Christoph are brought out, and they embrace. They go over to where Robert and Magdalena are standing on the other side of a fence. The executioner stands at the back of the stage, near the guillotine.
Mother, Father.
Father, Mother, I'm so sorry.
I love you, my children. You are very brave. We love you so much.
God be with you, my children.
Christoph, is there anyone here for you?
No, my wife, she just had a baby. Our third child. She's still in the hospital. She doesn't know I'm here.
Your children will learn about you and feel very good.
Attention, attention. The executioner will now read the sentences.
Sophie, Hans, and Christoph hold hands as the sentence is read.
Today, this February 22nd, 1943, in the name of the German people in the action against 1. Hans Fritz Scholl, born at Ingersheim, September 22nd, 1918. 2. Sophia Magdalena Scholl, born at Forchtenberg, May 9th, 1921. And 3. Christoph Hermann Probst, born at Murnau, November 6, 1919. Now in investigative custody regarding treasonous assistance to the enemy, preparing to commit high treason and weakening of the nation's armed security. President of the People's Court, Dr. Roland Freisler, presiding, finds that the accused have in time of war, by means of leaflets, called for the sabotage of the war effort and for the overthrow of the National Socialist way of life of our people, have propagated defeatist ideas, and have most vulgarly defamed the Führer, thereby giving aid to the enemy of the Reich and weakening the armed security of the nation. On this account, they are to be punished by death. Their honor and rights as citizens are forfeited for all time.
Cowardly thoughts. Cowardly thoughts.
We shall see each other again in a few minutes.
Well, get on with it.
Sophie turns and walks toward the executioner. She disappears into the darkness as the blade falls. Cowardly thoughts. Cowardly thoughts. Christoph salutes to Hans, and then he disappears into the darkness as the blade falls. Cowardly thoughts define our nation. Hans embraces his parents one last time and begins his walk to the darkness.
Long live freedom!
Hans disappears into the darkness as the blade falls. Cowardly thoughts. Cowardly thoughts. For those who have recognized his threat, death is the reward they have met. If everyone waits, it will seal our fates. It's far too late for regret. Time passes and we see Alexander and Professor Huber dragged into the courtroom with a pantomime of the trial with Judge Freisler. We see them in their cells briefly, Alexander pacing and Professor Huber furiously writing and reading his books. Then we see them dragged out to the courtyard.
Attention, attention, the executioner will now read the sentences.
Today, this April 19th, 1943, in the name of the German people in the action against 1. Alexander Schmorell, Munich, born on September 16, 1917 in Orenburg, Russia. 2. Kurt Huber, Munich, born October 24, 1893 in Chur, Switzerland. That Alexander Schmorell and Kurt Huber in time of war have promulgated leaflets calling for sabotage of the war effort and for the overthrow of the National Socialist way of life of our people, have propagated defeatist ideas, and have most vulgarly defamed the Führer, thereby giving aid to the enemy of the Reich and weakening the armed security of the nation. On this account, they are to be punished by death. Their honor and rights as citizens are forfeited for all time.
Cowardly thoughts. Cowardly thoughts. Alexander walks toward the executioner. He disappears into the darkness as the blade falls. Professor Huber walks towards the executioner. He disappears into the darkness as the blade falls. Scene 14, the Scholl home outside.
Robert, did you see the newspaper?
No, my dear. What did it say?
Hans and Sophie, they had other friends who had helped them. Alexander Schmorl.
Oh, the Russian boy. I met him once. Nice young man.
And a professor, Huber. Did Hans ever mention him?
I don't remember. Why do you ask?
They were caught and executed just yesterday.
Oh. Little girl, little boy, oh God, did I really teach you wrong? You are too young, and I'm not strong, and I just want to hear you singing all your favorite songs. Those days are over, but I just don't believe it's true. They come for everyone, they came for me, but they weren't supposed to come for you. There is no future if your children won't be there. I told you to listen, to pay attention. I'm sorry I was so unfair. To raise you here and now. Oh God, how can I go on without my children, who did nothing wrong except for doing what I taught them?
What's that noise?
Look, American planes, they're dropping leaflets everywhere. The Allied forces bring you a message from our brave friends in Germany. Gather your forces, never to waver. Gather your forces, never to waver. Take the offensive, be ever braver. Take the offensive, be ever braver. Gather your forces, never to waver. Gather your forces, never to waver. Take the offensive, be ever braver.
White rose lives on.
White rose lives on.
It remains when we're gone.
It remains.
The end. We'll give you time to congratulate Jennifer and to write down some of your notes. And if anybody does want to hang around in another 5 or 10 minutes after you've all fawned all over Jennifer, if you want to come back in and speak some of your thoughts to her, that's fine too. So, grab Jennifer. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you too, man.
Do you want us to leave the script?
Yeah. Next week. Yeah.
A camera going?
I think so, yeah. Is that okay? You're supposed to my